In this video, we'll install LIMS Nucleus on an EC2 instance at Amazon Web Services. Go to labsolutions.com, download AWS EC2 Installation. To perform the installation, you need your own account. You'll need a username, password, a private key, public key pair provided by Amazon. You might want a static IP address if you are planning to use this in production, but a transient IP is adequate for this tutorial, and it is what we will use. You also need a credit card number. We will use the free tier Debian instance, which you will not be charged, but you need to sign up with a credit card number. Even the reservation of a static IP is free as long as you use the IP address. If you reserve an address and don't use it, you will be charged. These hyperlinks will take you to Amazon and provide you with instruction for accomplishing each step. So here we are at the Amazon Marketplace. You have just logged in with your username and password and passed the CAPTCHA challenge. So at this page, you want to go to your AWS console and select EC2. Look at your instances, and we are going to launch a new instance. It's going to be a Debian instance, so scroll down to Debian and select Debian 10 SSD volume. The free tier eligible T2 micro is adequate, provides 1 gig of memory. Depending on how many plates you're making, you may need more RAM, but 1 is adequate for all of the tutorials. Review and launch, and launch. Confirm that you have access to your private key, public key pair. Should be on your hard drive. Launch the instance. Click the hyperlink to go to the console and click through to see the details of your instance. You're interested in the IP address and the connection string. Copy the connection string back to the terminal and use SSH to log into your instance. Note that you are using admin as the username for Debian. You can look around and see that not much is installed. Security is available, and wget is also available. Switch back to the Lab Solutions website and find the wget command on the AWS page that will allow you to download the installation script. Copy and paste into the terminal. The script needs to be made executable. Copy and paste that command from the Lab Solutions website. Once the script is executable, you can execute. Confirm that you want to install LIMS Nucleus, and then you'll be asked 2 questions. First is the IP address. You can get that from the EC2 console, copy, and then paste into the terminal. The second question is how many plates per plate set do you want to allow? We'll use 100. Hit return and the script will commence. Run to completion without further prompts. Note that the IP address and number of plates per plate set will be used to modify the configuration file. You can go to labsolutions.com and click the configurations hyperlink and find the available configuration options that can be modified that will affect how LIMS Nucleus runs. If you have a static IP address, this is where you would have entered it, and your EC2 instance would have to be configured to make use of that static address. The value of 100 plates per plate set that we entered will be used to modify the configuration file. However, it will be ignored by LIMS Nucleus until you register your copy. Registration is free. There is a hyperlink on labsolutions.com that will allow you to register. All you need is a valid email address. An unregistered copy will utilize the default 10 plates per plate set. This installation of LIMS Nucleus is going to take about 5 minutes, but the installation time can be variable, and that is because you're installing the Geeks package manager as part of the installation. Geeks is a rolling release distribution. That means developers can upload source code, either bug fixes or upgrades, at any time. Source code is uploaded to the build farm, and the build farm will build the substitutes that you are installing. Should a substitute not be available, the Geeks package manager will download the source code and build it locally, or in this case on the EC2 instance. Since we don't know how many substitutes will not be available, it's difficult to predict the installation time. Usually it's about 5 minutes. In a moment, you will see that the source code for Artanis is downloaded and built locally. The current version of Artanis 0.5 is not suitable for use with LIMS Nucleus. There are a few bugs, and there are missing features that LIMS Nucleus depends upon. One advantage of using Geeks is that you can patch the source code and introduce new features on the fly during installation, and that's what's happening here. Once Artanis has been built, the next phase is to install the database. Multiple scripts are run that instantiate the database, create users, tables, install the stored procedures, and install the example data. It's very convenient to run the database on the same EC2 instance as the application server. It makes for easy install and easy configuration. However, all backup, restore, and repair functions fall upon the user. In a production environment, you may want to outsource this to your IT department or to a cloud provider. The install-limsn.sh script that is currently running will download a second script, install-lnpg.sh, that is the script that does the database installation. If at a later time you decide your database is cluttered and you'd like to delete it, you can use this script to regenerate the database. Instructions are on labsolutions.com. This script can also be used to install the database on a remote server. Contact us for more information. Once the script has run to completion, you need to exit and re-log into the EC2 instance. This will initialize environment variables. Normally you would run the run limsn script in detached mode, but we will run it attached so that we can see output from the Artanis web server and note any error messages, should there be any. The first thing you see is 10 connections to the Postgres database. So this is a good sign. Next, about 10 or 12 source files will be compiled. This occurs on the first run only. Future web server initialization will be instantaneous. Once the files have been compiled and the web server is running, you now need to switch over to your Amazon EC2 instance. The Artanis web server broadcasts on port 3000, so you have to go to the security group and open port 3000. Add a rule, custom TCP 3000, open to the world, and save the rule. Now you want to get back to the EC2 panel with your instance details and navigate to the IP address. Initially, it will fail to run the web server. Artanis does not support secure socket layers, so you need to remove the S, append the port 3000, and indicate a valid page like the login page. Once you are there, you can use the demo user password user to log in. Navigate to the plate sets for project 1, and under the tool menu, add a plate set to project 1. And you'll see that because this is an unregistered copy, we are still limited to 10 plates per plate set. On labsolutions.com, the configuration page will show you how to register to obtain a registration key. Back at the console, let's kill the web server and look at the contents of our directory. You can see the LN data directory. This is the one you'll remove if you want to blow away the database, and then the install LNPG script can be used to reinitialize the database. At labsolutions.com, take a look at the AWS EC2 installation page. You'll find a description of the supplied scripts. Note, for a fresh installation, you only need to run install LIMS. Install LNPG is provided if you want to reconfigure and run the database on a remote server or reinstall the EC2 instance database, and run LIMS runs the web server. You'll also find some commands that might be useful on your EC2 instance. On the configuration page, you're informed of the location of the configuration file, which you can edit, and there are various parameters that apply to the Postgres database, the web server, and the application specific parameters that you might want to change. If you have questions as to the suitability of LIMS Nucleus for your process, contact us at info@labsolutions.com.